Now, why do you think they didn't give you the tag belts? Was there ever a reason, or they just
Well, Vince didn't like us, period.
Okay.
He didn't like us. And Brian still differs in opinion on that, but I know he never did. He never did like us. And the fact that we were both, you know, friends of Terry Hulk, I think he sort of took care of us a little bit, but never, you know, we never were, you know, given the belts, and we would have had a hell of a run because we could have turned heel with those masks and presented a different, you know, a totally different scenario going into matches. But, you know, you can't fight City Hall. And I, I know Brian was just really, really disappointed, as I was too. You know.
What do you think of what's going on right now with the World Wrestling Federation, or WWE, I should say, and Vince McMahon and all the scandals? Like, what is your opinion on this?
Well, you know, it's just like the Roman Empire. You know, the Roman Empire goes so far, and then all of a sudden, boom, you know, and down it goes. And that happens with it's cyclical. And the fact that, you know, Vince, who, you know, is a billionaire and had, you know, a lot of different incidents that sort of chipped away at what he was doing. And I just think now that more or less that the word's out about this and his infidelities, this and that. And then I find out he's divorced from Linda, and, you know, and then Hunter Helmsley needs a new heart, you know, and it just, so I, you know, I asked Hulk a long time ago about Vince. I said, what's going on? I said, you know, I said, is he capable of this? And you know what he told me? He said, Vince is capable of anything and everything. That's what he said, and then walked away. See, Vince tried to rub it in on me. I needed to work, like I told you, Mike, because I needed money to complement the gym. So I knew, and he, you know, he had me doing jobs on TV, and then he had me on the road, and I you know, it hurt me immensely, but I thought, well, hey, I need the money. And I'll never forget, and you can look this on TV, it's on there. It's Randy Savage and I, when he had, what's her name? It wasn't Elizabeth, it was
Sherry.
Yeah.
You hit him with a drop kick, right?
In his mouth. Yeah, and he spit blood, and I thought, oh God, I knocked his teeth out. But we had a hell of a match, and after we got done with the match, walked through, and it was, I think it might have been on a Monday Raw or something. I don't know if they called it that or what. But Vince is standing there, and he said, gentlemen, he said, that's the best TV match I've ever seen. That's what he said. So it made me feel good, but you know, who knows? He might have said that, you know, 20 times to different people, but we did have a good match. And as independent contractors, and you know this, Mike, you never know what you're going to get paid. You're at the mercy of, you know, the promoter. And I remember one time I told Vince, I said, Vince, I says, Christ, I said, last month I was making $4,000 a week. You know, I made 20 grand or 16 grand for the month. And I said, this next month, I said, the houses were bigger, and I wound up making, you know, half of that. And I said, how do you, you know, clarify that and justify that? And he said, oh, I guess I'll have to talk to my accountants next, you know. And then he, you know, so that was it.
You're still waiting for the explanation, I bet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Vince McMahon.
He's the reason we all wanted to do this. You know, both you and I, you know, I think probably fell in love with. I mean, I know you were in a fair carnival show, mud wrestling, but I was kind of into WWF. You know,
oil wrestling. Oil wrestling.
But dude, like, I mean, like, you can't take away what he did. You know, I just think it was time for a change. You know, and I think we're seeing that now, you know, and I'll always be thankful for what he did for me and the platform he gave me to create the name and do what I do and do what I love. but I think it was time to go. And like I said, I think we're starting to see that.
I wrote out the idea and I proposed a picture to Vince McMahon of Mike Tyson and his former trainer, Cuss. And I put a picture of Bob Backlund and me next to one another. So I had it all written out. And again, like I said earlier, the one thing I learned about Titus is closed mouths don't get fed. So I approached Vince McMahon with the idea after Titus and I were done teaming. I approached it to Vince McMahon. I talked to him for about 20 minutes. A lot of what we talked about, Vince McMahon and I, was yoga, because he asked me, like, how do you get such a big barrel chest like that? I said, yoga, He said, really? I said, yeah, because it fixes your posture. So my chest might appear bigger, but it's just how I carry myself, my posture. So we talked about that, and I proposed the Bob Backlund and Darren Young angle, and Vince McMahon loved it. And he contacted Bob Backlund personally, and we started running with the idea. So I have nothing bad to say about Vince McMahon at all, because he gave me that opportunity. You know what I mean? And that's all I ever wanted, was an opportunity. It's just, I always say it's unfortunate that the people that work under Vince McMahon didn't have my back, because, again, back in the day, it was maybe just Pat Patterson and one other person. But now there are so many producers that if it's not their idea, they might not run with it. So it's just, it's just how you play the game. It's how you play your cards, Ace. I'm sure you'll hear that a lot in the podcasts that you do. Other people's experiences, again, mine have all been positive. I do speak the truth on some, anything that comes up, because speaking from the heart works best for me. But that's my experience.
Tell me about your interactions with Vince McMahon. He's in the news a lot right now, so it's very topical.
Yeah. So it's funny, when we were there, Vince was always good to us. We used to, because like I said, we lived like 2 hours from Stanford, from headquarters, Titan Towers. And Glenn and I, on a Thursday or Friday, we had nothing to do. We were like, oh, let's drive up to the office and hang out, to the point where we had our own HID magnetic key card to get in and out of the office whenever we wanted. I mean, we had full carte blanche. We could just walk in, we zap the thing, and it's like we were there all the time. We would go into Vince's office and sit down and talk to Beth, his receptionist at the time. And then one time we went in and totally rearranged his office, rearranged the whole thing, and then just left. And the next week at TV, he knew it was us. Like, he was laughing about it. There was another time we were in his office up there, and I was sitting behind his desk, and he came in and he sat on the other side, like never even said a word about me being on his side of the desk or anything like that. Always had that good joking relationship with him, even to the point when the night we won the belts, I walked up to him the next night at Raw and I thanked him. I was like, he goes, you guys have earned it. You guys do a great job for us. You're like, nope, enjoy it, blah, 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 blah. But as soon as I wasn't getting re-signed and they were done with me, he was done with me. And at first I was a little bitter / salty about it, because I tried calling him once I had the conversation with JR of, well, we don't know who Chaz is. And I'm like, you've given me 8 different gimmicks in the last 6 months, so I don't know who I am either. But when I knew I wasn't coming back or getting re-signed, I called Vince a couple times. Wouldn't get on the phone, nothing. Beth acted like she didn't know who I was. So it took me a while to realize what it was Vince. Nothing's personal. It's all business with him, which I guess with him and the way he is and everything he's done, he's got to be that way. He had to be that way. I mean, at least with the guys. I can't know about the girls, but at least the guys. So that, to me, that's just how he was. And after a while, with me moving on out of wrestling and moving full-time gig of doing business like I do now, and running an office and a branch and having people underneath of me, it taught me that you can't take anything personal. You can't let the personal stuff slide in. It's got to be about business to make it successful. And that's how Vince is. Vince is just business.
Can you talk about what's going on right now with Vince?
I don't. Here's the worst part. I don't really keep up with it. So the bits and pieces and tidbits I know is stuff you know, if I'm scrolling through Twitter or Instagram, you see something, or I have friends that watch who'll be like, hey, so did you hear about this, or did you see about that? I mean, I guess my opinion is with him retiring, it's very convenient that he's retiring now. Is that because of everything that's going on and he just kind of wants to go off in the sunset, or is he just going to sit in the back quietly pulling strings? I don't know. But I mean, he's older. The last time I saw him in the ring, when I did see him get in, because they said I heard commercials and I saw it on Twitter and he was going to be on. I'm like, all right, let me watch, because every now and then I will jump in. I just don't follow it every week. But when he was getting out of the ring and he almost fell, I was like, oh, I'm like, come on, like enough. Like, at least if you're going to do something, stay in the back. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, the opportunity he gave me and the different things he did for me have been awesome. And without him, I could have never got to where I did. I could not even got to where I am or what I did, but have the opportunity to do it. I just wish him the best, and you know, just hope he just rides off into the sunset and just retires and relaxes and enjoys, you know, whatever it is he wants to do.
Well, Vince McMahon is in the news a lot right now. What was your interactions being a diva in the WWE? What were your interactions with Vince McMahon like?
Vince was great. I mean, I didn't see him close up a lot at all. But when I did see him, he was always very kind and nice. And I did go to him once and just kind of said, hey, like, I just want to be on the same page. Like, you know, is there anything that you need more from me? And, you know, I had taken the initiative to go in there by myself about myself, you know, and just wanted to make sure, because this was at the time that the competition, the Diva competition, was taken off. And he opened door, you know, let me talk to me, he's a busy man, gave me some time. And he said that I was doing great. And, you know, they had plans for me, and, you know, there was nothing else at the time that they thought, but he appreciated me coming to talk to him, and, you know, very kind. And Fit had always told me that what really got me over with Vince was my facials. So I prided myself on my facials, because I just remember watching wrestling growing up, like how I recognize that when in wrestling matches, like your facials really make a difference when you're selling something. And even if it isn't necessarily a wrestling move, like for me as that manager, valet Cherry, like for me to, you know, make those faces like, ooh, Batista likes me, or, oh my God, you know, it's like, you have to over exaggerate that. And Vince was big into that. And Fit always pointed that out. So Vince never told me himself, but, you know, Fit's like great. So I totally believe that. So, and I always was prided on that, you know, making sure that you get that part over. So yeah, he was good to me. I mean, I hate that's going on. I think he's built an empire. This business is incredible. And I hate that might be the legacy that goes along with it. So hopefully things will clear up, but not that WWE is going away. You know, obviously Stephanie and Hunter are going to, you know, take it further, which is great, because I think you have so much of a universe, right, that people like really look out for wrestling. I just hate to think that that's really, really the situation, because, you know, you worked so hard and made a legendary empire. I mean, I can't explain it and describe it any more than that. To have it go out like that, that's upsetting. So, but who knows?
What are your thoughts on Vince McMahon?
Well, you know, who signs my check is whose praise I sing. You've ever heard that expression?
I did now. I love it.
Okay, he's not signing any more checks for me, but the money he gave me continues to accrue interest. So I am very in favor of Vince McMahon. He's an excellent man. The truth is, I wish I were more like him. But since I can't be like him, at least I can like him. Okay. I've never seen him yawning. I've never seen any scuzz on his shoes, and I've never seen him in need of dental floss. The guy is meticulous. Do you understand me? And I don't knock success. And some people do. I think that's very sad. Vince McMahon is a very successful man. And, a lot of people were rooting against him, including, billionaire Ted and the United States court, whatever. I wish him a happy final gliding path of life. And I want to say, if you're listening, thank you for doing that for my brother, Elizabeth, and myself. I am very, very appreciative. And I'll have you know that my life is good and better because of him.
You're exposed to the wrestling business behind the scenes in the big time. You see a lot of things and you witness things and you see things and you're like, okay, do you speak about it or do you keep your mouth shut? The culture is what happens with the boys stays with the boys. I saw a lot of things with John Laurinaitis. I saw things with Vince McMahon. I saw a lot of things with the writers, how they treated people, how they acknowledged people, how they interacted with people, how I was interacted with during the dress. All I could say, guys, and I speak for this this is real life. Guys, if it was your daughter and somebody did the stuff that they talk about to your daughter, what would you do? Mike, you have a beautiful family. You have two beautiful daughters, and somebody was to harass or do something to your daughters. You're not a physical guy. You're not a violent guy, but you're going to stand up, and you think about it. It's the same thing when you're a victim of something and you've been harassed and humiliated and you're treated a certain way, guys. You just take it as it comes. You don't say much. You don't give everything out. You just wait and you sit for the right moment when you're asked to present something. It's the best way I can explain it.
Before we go, can you talk to me about any personal interaction you've had with Vince McMahon, any Vince stories one-on-one, or even talk about the current stuff going on with Vince?
Well, I've never seen anything like what, is coming out about the NDAs. I've never seen anything, outside of the boisterous type of, like he acts like a college frat brother or something, you know what I mean? Very, very alpha male type stuff. Nothing that but I never, like, the thing about, I would see Vince or talk to Vince in certain situations when it was mostly all positive, where he would give me, obviously sometimes in Gorilla, he would just give me the death stare because I did something he didn't want me to do or left something out. But Vince, to his credit, there was one time in a meeting, I had a match with Bob Holly on Velocity, and we told a hell of a story. And that's credit to Bob with the kind of worker that he doesn't get credit for being. Worked his leg. And we had a second match where I just worked his back. He finally tried to, he couldn't get me, we kept working back to the Alabama Slam. Finally got it, pinned me. Vince, during a talent meeting, which I wasn't even there for some, I think they took me out of it just so I don't know why. I wasn't in the talent meeting. Bob was. And Vince brought a TV in and played the match. Wow. You got the whole roster there. And he goes, these are the stories that I want told on my shows. This kind of story. Look at these guys work, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what do you do, after that? That's awesome. That's kind of like, it wasn't a personal interaction, but it's probably one of those ones. And like I said, I give all the credit to Bob with that for being a guy that sold, and the babyface made the heel actually have heat and fight from underneath and make the match. When I was training Shane McMahon, Dreamer and I were training him for his match against Shawn Michaels, Saturday night's main event. We would go down the tracks and train him. Vince showed up a couple times and wanted us to kill Shane. Kill him. He was cheering for us to beat his son up.
Got it. What was your interactions with Vince McMahon like?
He signed the front of the checks. I signed the back.
That's it, huh?
Nah, I actually had good interactions with Vince, but Vince is a businessman. And, I mean, and, I respect the fact that Vince, as long as you're making him money, he's happy with you. The minute that, he doesn't see you as an asset anymore, they're going to let you go. And the wrestling business is a tough business in that aspect. I had great interactions with him. He would, but they were always, I don't want to say friendly. They were always business encouraging. He would stop me and, hey, when you're over in Australia, try to get your gimmick off, try to, just shit like that. But again, what I'll say, the night my mom died, Vince called me. The night, not the day after, the week after, the night my mom died, Vince called me. So, I mean, you can say what you want about anybody, but you find out who really cares about you during adversity in life. I know that much. And he was there. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, I know Vince, I know Vince is under a little hot water now with everything, but I always had great interactions with him.
Last thing I want to talk about, any interactions with Vince McMahon and what's your feeling on the current situation with Vince McMahon?
My dealings with Vince were brief, but like Vince was there, man. Vince was a worker, bro. Like he was at ringside. He was going over his show. It was his baby. I could tell you one conversation I had with Vince was right before I wrestled with Van Dam. At the end of the match, I was going to get hit by Hardcore Holly. He was going to give me a chair shot. And he goes, make sure you put your hand up. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. And he just kind of looked at me like it was somewhere between, are you kidding me? Or are you talking back to me? Or are you just stupid? It was like one of those. I was like, I've never put my hand up ever on a chair shot. I'm not going to start now. And he's like, God damn it. I say, put your hand up. You put your hand up. Guess we're going to put our hand up tonight. You know what I mean? Yeah. Glad that I did, because man, because Bob swung it. And I was like, I didn't tell anybody, but I was like this, and my hand was like, but I was like, but back, I was just like, what's up? Let's do it again. But yeah, I mean, it was like my interactions with Vince were very few and far between, but like very always like he was like, he didn't treat you like where you were in the card, or where, to me personally anyway, I don't know. And I always admired that about him. I thought he was very cool and personable and approachable. Which a lot of, I always maintain like the Chappelle thing where you saw Rick James, you could see his aura. Like I always saw that about, like, you can like came in the room, like it was just different. It was like but I all my dealings with him personally, even like as rare as they were always very positive. As far as what's happening now, I don't know. Like I who doesn't have some kind of skeleton in their closet that's a multi-billionaire or something? I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I don't know that. I don't know that I'm surprised that that's happening. Like I think a lot of people were shocked by it. I don't know that that's a word I would use, shocked by it. I don't think I'm surprised by anything in the wrestling business at this point. Who would be? Anybody who's been in the business for more than 10 years shouldn't be really shocked at anything. I mean, there's examples to the contrary, but I don't think this fall, like, Benoit, shocking. I don't think that Vince having a extracurricular or extramarital affair is really over the top shocking. Not to me anyway. I don't condone it, but I'm not necessarily like blown away. Like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Shocked by it either.